We now continue with the transpiration part. Now we have done the first part wherein we found out that how to measure the transpiration or how to identify the transpiration takes place from the aerial parts, and also for the measurement of transpiration we use the Ganong spotometer. Now we are going to see the different kinds of transpiration. So it is not that transpiration is going to be only of one kind, but there are three different ways by which transpiration takes place in a plant. So depending upon from where, on which particular part of the plant the transpiration takes place, that transpiration will be called as that kind of transpiration, the transpiration from that particular part of the plant. So according to transpiration from the aerial parts of the plant occurs by three different regions. Some from the leaves to the stomata. So the stomata of the leaves, that is the lower part of there are the stomatal openings. So that stomatal openings, it is the leaves lose the water from the stomata of the plant, stomata of the leaves, and that is why it is called as stomatal transpiration. So first one is the transpiration from the stomata. That's why it is stomatal transpiration. Okay. So first one is stomatal transpiration. The second one is directly from the surface of the leaves and the stem, that is cuticular transpiration. So the upper surface of the leaf, the stem parts, upper surface of the stem, they all are going to lose water, and that is called as cuticular transpiration. So that's the second part. And the third part is from the lenticels, which are minute openings on the surface of the old stems, called as lenticular transpiration. So the lenticels, so lenticular transpiration is the one from the lenticels. Now lenticels are the openings, small porous openings on the surface of the old stems. So whatever the old stems are there, these old stems, they will be having a minute surface openings. These are called as lenticular, that is called as lenticular transpiration. But the major part of transpiration is going to take place from the stomata, because that's a proper opening through which the open and close of this thing is taking place. Accordingly, stomatal transpiration will be maximum out of the three. So the major part of the transpiration occurs to the stomata, whereas the other two types of transpiration contribute very little. Now let's see what is the mechanism which is there for the transpiration taking place to the stomata. So you can see first of all that when we are talking about the stomata, we have to understand the surface of the leaf. So there is the first upper layer of the surface. This is the cells of the upper layer called as the cuticle. So this is the cuticle. Below this cuticle part is the upper epidermis. So these are the bigger cells over here, which are the cells here, and these cells are called as the upper epidermis. Okay. The next what we are having is the, this is the upper epidermis. Cuticle is the topmost part. This is the topmost part is the cuticle. This is the upper part. Upper part is the cuticle. This is the upper epidermis. Okay. This is the, so this is the upper palisade mesophils. So palisade mesophil. Okay, these are the cells which are called as the palisade mesophil, which are the cells over here. And lower to there are the spongy mesophil. So then there will be the area which will be spongy mesophil. So spongy mesophil have got some cavities in between, so there will be air gaps in between. So these gaps will be the one wherein water will be entrapped. So this area is the spongy mesophil. And finally is the lower part, which is the lower epidermis. So there will be the lower part, which is the lower epidermis, which has got openings over here. Okay, so this is the lower epidermis. Okay, So lower epidermis, and over here will be the water vapor. This is the water vapor, and finally is the water vapor is trying to escape out from here, which is nothing but the stomatal opening. So this is the stomata. Okay, so it is from the stomatal opening which is present in the lower epidermis, that from where the water vapor is going to escape out. So this is the layer. So that is cuticle. Cuticle के ऊपर वाला जो layer है, that is the upper epidermis. Then there is a palisade mesophyll over here. Then there is spongy mesophyll here, which has got cavities, which has got the water vapors in it. Water vapor over here, which is going to escape out from the lower epidermis के openings में, which are nothing but the stomatal openings. So we have seen over here, we can see the different processes what will take place over here. Stomata are minute openings in the epidermal layer of leaves. A stomata is surrounded by two bean-shaped guard cells. During daytime, the stomata are wide open primarily for the intake of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. The number of stomata may range from 1000 to 10,000 per centimeter cube. 1 centimeter square, 1 centimeter square, 1 centimeter square में 1000 to 10,000 stomata can be there on the leaf surface. So it's the high amount of stomata present in the lower epidermis of the leaf, and they are normally going to remain open throughout the day, because during the daytime the carbon dioxide is trying to enter into the plant through the stomatal opening. It is the stomatal opening which is going to allow the water to enter in, allow the carbon dioxide to enter into the plant through the stomata. In stomatal transpiration, the water vapor escapes to the stomata of the leaf. Water, after absorption by the roots from the soil, rises up to the stem and reaches the tissue of the leaves through veins. A large number of spongy mesophyll cells in the leaves have the surface exposed to the intercellular spaces. These surfaces of the cells give out some of the water as a thin film. The water from this film evaporates, and water vapor formed saturates the air in the intercellular spaces. So they say that the spongy mesophyll has got air spaces जहाँ पे the water vapor is going to try and enter into it, and it is going to enter into the thin spaces which are present in between those particular mesophills, and they form a thin film like structure, and that thin film is becoming saturated with the air inside in the intercellular spaces. So these intercellular spaces are completely filled with this particular vapors. The vapor when diffuses into another connecting intercellular spaces and finally reaches the substomatal region. So this is the substomatal region over here, where all the water from here it's coming and collecting over there. It is just getting collected over there. It is going to be finally means the water from the different parts of the cells are going to reach into the substomatal region, from where it escapes to the stomata. The entire movement of the water from the surface of the cell into the outside atmosphere is a result of diffusion. The molecules of the diffusion of the molecules of the water vapor. So it is the diffusion of molecules of the water vapor that are diffusing with each other, that the whole thing is getting clubbed together and forming into water droplets and coming out from the stomata which is there. The molecules of the water vapor, like those of any gas, move from the region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. That is diffusion. Okay, region from higher concentration to lower concentration without any cell membrane in between. So when it is going to be moving from one point to another point, it will be by diffusion. So the whole transpiration for the cell to cell movement of the water vapor from one cell to another cell is going to take place due to diffusion. Figure shows the movement of the water through the leaf. The cell sap in each cell exerts a turbo pressure outwards on the cell wall. This pressure forces some water out of the cell wall into the air space between the cells. Here the water evaporates and the water vapor diffuses through the air space between the mesophyll cells into substomatal space, from where it finally goes out as diffusion through the stomata. You can see all these cells, the water enters into all these cells, और उसका जो cell wall है उसके ऊपर there is a tug of pressure, so accordingly the wall pressure is going to be exerted on the cell, and due to that thing the water is going to ooze out from this thing, and there will be exosmosis taking place from the cell coming out over here, coming into this particular substomatal region, from where it is going to go to the stomata and it is going to be given out as transpiration. Yes, I'll read this thing again. These surfaces of the cell give out some water as a thin film. The water from the film evaporates and the water vapor formed saturates the air in the intercellular spaces. Okay. The vapor then diffuses into other connecting intercellular spaces and finally reaches the substomatal spaces, from where it escapes from the stomata. The entire movement of the water vapor from the surface of the cell into the outside surface is a result of diffusion. The vapors of the water vapor, like those of any gas, move from the region of higher concentration to low concentration. Right. Okay, now further. Figure shows the movement of water through the leaf. The cell sap is in each cell exerts a tug of pressure outwards in the cell wall. This pressure forces some water out of the cell wall into the air space between the cells. Here the water evaporates and the water vapor diffuses through the air spaces between the mesophils and into the substomatal space, from where it finally goes out by the diffusion through the stomata. The cells that lose water in this way replace it by drawing more of it from the nearest vein. Most of this water travels along the cell walls by imbibition, and only a small quantity enters the cell by osmosis. So here mainly it is by imbibition, it is coming in contact with dry and wet directly in contact with each other. That's why the water is moving from one point to another point. And you can see over here that where the water is lost from here, this big area is going to pull more amount of water upwards. Thousands of leaf cells evaporate water in this way, causing more of the water to be pulled from below via the xylem vessels. The transpiration pull thus created can draw up water to about 50 meters or more in tall trees. So we had studied in case of absorption that absorption, say the root pressure can pull the water only to a certain height, and then it requires some another pressure so that it could go up, and that pressure we said is the transpirational pull. The transpiration pull is going to be creating a pull towards the water which will be as high as 50 meters. So that's why this is the way the plant is going to take in water, where in the tall trees like which are very tall, which are up to 50 meter tall, can take up the water by this method. More transpiration occurs from the undersurface of the dicot leaves. There are more stomatal openings on the undersurface of a dicot leaf, and therefore more transpiration occurs from the undersurface. This can be proved by an experiment in which a piece of dry cobalt chloride paper are attached to the two surfaces of the leaves and held in position by two glass slides on either side, tied together by elastic bands or by clips. The leaf should remain attached to its own plant. The piece of paper which is facing the upper surface of the leaf either does not turn pink or turns pink in a much longer time than the one which is at the lower surface, which turns pink much faster. This proves that total transpiration takes place from the lower surface, which is on account of the numerous stomata found on it. So you can see that always the transpiration which will be much more from the lower surface of the leaves and less from the upper surface of the leaves. This is very prominently done or experimented by taking a leaf, and you are going to take that leaf, it is connected to the plant, it is not taken out from the plant, it is still connected to the plant. You are going to take two cobalt chloride paper, one you place it on top, other you place it on the bottom, and you clip them together so that it is not going to fall off, and then it will be seen that the lower one will turn pink much faster as compared to the upper one. This is because the lower part has got the stomata, and that stomatal transpiration is of a higher value. So the proof that stomatal transpiration is much higher as compared to the other kind of transpiration is easily seen by this particular experiment. So that is the experimental what you see over here about the stomatal transpiration, that the rate of stomatal transpiration is much higher from the lower surface of the leaves, whereas the cuticle transpiration on the upper part is of a lower value. Now we talk about the stomatal regulation of transpiration. So stomatal regulation of transpiration is basically how is the stomata going to regulate the transpiration. Stomata are minute structures occurring in large numbers on the lower epidermis of the leaf. So you can consider that the stomata, it is like this, that this is the guard cells. So there are two guard cells connected like this. And connected to these guard cells are the other cells of the plant or the leaf. They are the other cells of the leaf. Okay. So this is the guard cell which is opened right now. There are certain nucleus over here. This is the figure. So you can see these are the two guard cells, and this is the stomatal opening, and the nucleus and the epidermal, these are the epidermal cells. So epidermal cells are there over here. So transpiration occurs as long as stomata are open, but it stops when they are closed. So till the time the stomata is open, the transpiration is going to take place. The moment the stomata is closed, the transpiration stops. So it will always be seen that the transpiration occurs much more in the daytime. In the night time it is less. Why? Because in the daytime the stomata opens up for photosynthesis. Carbon dioxide ko andar lene ke liye it opens up. So at that time transpiration also takes place. But the moment in the night time when the photosynthesis stops, at that time the stomata is closed. Hence the transpiration also stops. The opening and closing mechanism, transpiration occurs as long as the stomata open, but it stops when they are closed. The opening and closing mechanism of stomata is regulated by the amount of water and solute present in the guard cells. So it is seen that it is the amount of water present in the guard cells which is going to produce the opening and closing of the stomata. See, if the water is not there in the plant, the stomata will not open because photosynthesis ho nahi sakta kyunki pani nahi hai. Okay, water is one of the ingredients for photosynthesis. So that's why if water is not there, the stomata are not going to open. As the stomata opens during the daytime, the diffusion of gases in and outside fulfilling the need for photosynthesis as well as allowing transpiration. So as soon as the stomata opens for taking in the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, it is also opening up its way for the water vapor to escape out in the form of transpiration from stomata. If for any reason the water content in the leaf is falling short, the guard cells fail to remain turgid, rather they would turn flaccid, loose, thereby closing the stomatal opening and transpiration stops. So in case the plant is completely drooping, there is not enough water in it, then there is no possibility that the stomata would open up. The stomata cannot open up because stomata is opening up only due to the turgidity of the cells of the surrounding the stomatal opening. The guard cells के आसपास में जितने cells हैं, if they are not turgid, they cannot open the stomata. Okay, so remember this thing, the stomatal opening is going to be taking place only in turgid condition and not in flaccid condition. Okay, so they turn flaccid, thereby closing the stomata. A more detailed account of closing and opening of mechanism of stomata is given in the next chapter in photosynthesis. We'll learn that thing in detail part. So that is about the stomata. Now we see leaves of some plants wilt during midday and recover in evening. So now it is seen that many of the plants, this could be a give reason question, that leaves of some plant wilt during midday and recover in the evening. So of course the reason is very simple, because the rate of transpiration is more. You will see that in some plants, balsam example, the leaves of the plant wilt during the midday in spite of the fact that there is plenty of water in the soil. In such case, the rate of transpiration during midday exceeds the rate of absorption of the water by the roots. See, water intake और water outlet दोनों का अगर rate same है तो plant wilt नहीं होगा, leaves wilt नहीं होंगे. But if the rate of absorption is less than the rate of transpiration, then the plant will not have sufficient amount of water in it, and hence the plant will start wilting. So that is the reason for why the plant, even if the plant is well watered, it will still have wilted leaves during the midday, whereas in the afternoon time, in the evening time, it again becomes turgid. So there, in such cases, the rate of transpiration during midday exceeds the rate of absorption of water by the roots. The cells therefore lose turgidity. In the evening or during the night, the stomata are constricted and the temperature is not high, therefore there is no loss of water through transpiration, and the turgidity of leaves is required and they stand out erect. So that is how you can see that during it's an evening time or the night time, the temperature is less, so the rate of transpiration is going to be less, and due to the less amount of transpiration taking place, the plant automatically get turgid. Stomatal transpiration is controlled by the plant by adjusting the size of the stomata, whereas it does not happen in the case of cuticular or lenticular transpiration. So in case of stomatal transpiration, the transpiration rate is controlled by the plant. The plant controls the transpiration rate by increasing or decreasing the opening of the stomata, but this is not possible in cuticular or lenticular transpiration. In cuticular lenticular transpiration, it is just going to go out without any kind of control by the plant. So we see the cuticular transpiration now. Cuticle is a waxy layer secreted by the epidermis on the two surfaces of the leaf. The thickness of the cuticle varies from plant to plant. Primarily, the cuticle serves to prevent evaporation of water from the leaf surfaces. So cuticle is a waxy coating which is on the top over there. So this particular the cuticle is going to prevent the evaporation of the water from the upper surface of the leaves. However, some evaporation does take place, and the greater the thickness of the cuticle, the lesser is the evaporation, that is transpiration. Desert plants tend to have thicker cuticles to cut down transpiration. So all the desert plants like cactus or aloe vera and all, they always have a thicker cuticle so that they can restrict the amount of transpiration which is taking place through the cuticles of the plant, of the leaves. Next is lenticular transpiration. Lenticels are special openings that develop on the bark of the old stems in the place of stomata. So wherever the lenticels are there, they are the old stem. जहाँ पे भी है तो old stems के जो bark है, the barks of the old stem, they will have the place which is small openings over there. These allow diffusion of gases for respiration as well as for photosynthesis. So yeah, they are allowing the movement of the gases for respiration as well as photosynthesis. Lenticels never close, they remain open all the time. Water from the cell surface directly face the lenticular evaporates, facing the lenticel evaporates and contribute to transpiration. So whatever water vapor is coming near the lenticels, that is going to evaporate and it is going to cause the lenticular transpiration. The amount of transpiration from lenticels is certainly more than the cuticular transpiration, but much lesser than the stomatal transpiration. Yes, it is quite more than the cuticular transpiration, because cuticle में से क्यों नहीं होगा? Because they already have waxy coating. Actually, it is protecting the evaporation to take place, but still there is some amount of evaporation taking place. That is nothing but the cuticular transpiration. Whereas lenticels, it is an opening and which is never going to close. So that's why lenticular transpiration will be much more as compared to cuticular. But as compared to stomata is a bigger opening, and it is going to be a large surface area, because you can understand ये leaf का पूरा नीचे का base में 1 centimeter square has got around 1000 to 10,000 this one stomata. So you can understand what is the amount of stomata present in the leaf. Accordingly, the stomatal transpiration will be definitely much more than the lenticular transpiration. The next we see are the factors which affect transpiration. So factors affecting transpiration. I'll just check up. Yeah, we can continue. So factors which affect transpiration are external factors. First is intensity of sunlight. See, the factors affecting transpiration and the factors related to evaporation of water is very identical, because Transpiration is also kind of evaporation taking place. Hence, whatever are the factors for evaporation are very much there for transpiration. But apart from that, there are some few factors which are more in transpiration, which are not present in evaporation. So first thing is intensity of sunlight. Obviously, if more sunlight is there, definitely more evaporation is going to take place. Hence, the transpiration will be more if the sunlight intensity is more. So during the day, and also because sunlight is required for photosynthesis, so if sunlight is present, only then the stomata opens to take in carbon dioxide. Accordingly, more sunlight, more carbon dioxide taken for photosynthesis, so more transpiration. During the day, the stomata are open to facilitate the inward diffusion of carbon dioxide for photosynthesis. At night time, they are closed, therefore more transpiration occurs during the day. When it is cloudy during the day, the stomata are partially closed and the transpiration is reduced. Next is temperature. In the outside, if the outside temperature is higher, there is more evaporation from the leaves, therefore more transpiration. Increase in temperature allows more water to evaporate, and the decrease in temperature reduces evaporation. Warm air can hold more water than cold air. So you can see the temperature also plays a very important part in transpiration. More the temperature, more will be the transpiration. So you see that increase in temperature allows more water to evaporate, and decrease in temperature reduces the evaporation. Warm air can hold more water than cold air. Obviously, because warm air will be able to take in more amount of moisture to it, whereas cold air will be already having a good amount of moisture in it. Velocity of the wind. Yeah, more the velocity of the wind, more the water molecules being taken away by it, and hence more the transpiration. So transpiration increases with the velocity of the wind. If the wind blows faster, the water vapor released during transpiration is removed faster, and the area outside the leaf does not get saturated with water vapor. So that's why it is seen that more the wind velocity, more will be the transpiration. Humidity, of course, this will be inversely ratio. Humidity jitna zyada, utna transpiration come, because more the humidity outside, the water is not able to evaporate out. So that's why transpiration is reduced if the air outside is humid. High humidity in the air reduces the rate of outward diffusion of the internal water vapor across stomata, thereby reducing the rate of transpiration. Now comes a point which is not connected to evaporation, and that is carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide, there is no relation of carbon dioxide and evaporation, but here transpiration and carbon dioxide has got a relationship, and that is more the carbon dioxide outside, there will be more amount of transpiration up to certain level, because carbon dioxide is required for the plant for photosynthesis. So increase in the carbon dioxide level in the outside air over normal, that is 0.03%, causes stomatal closure and results in the decrease in the transpiration. So once the carbon dioxide, see the carbon dioxide, we know that the air contains 0.03% of carbon dioxide. So till that time, the stomata is going to remain open. But the moment the stomatal opening, the moment the air contains more amount of carbon dioxide, means if it is exceeding 0.03% of carbon dioxide in the air, the stomata will close, because it doesn't require that much amount of this. So there will be a stomatal closure taking place if the carbon dioxide rate increases outside in the outside air, and results in the decrease in transpiration. So yes, carbon dioxide may up to a certain limit, that is up to 0.03%, yes, more carbon dioxide will be helpful for opening of the stomata. But later on, as the carbon dioxide level increases, then the stomata, see, it's simple thing. Carbon dioxide required for photosynthesis. It is required only in small quantity. So when it is taken in, अगर carbon dioxide level बाहर जाता है, तो उसको अंदर लेने के लिए कितना टाइम लगता है? Very fast. जितना उसको चाहिए तो फटक से ले लिया, दरवाजा फिर से बंद कर दिया. It's something like that. So when the outside carbon dioxide level is more, then automatically the stomata is not going to open much longer, because it doesn't require that much amount of carbon dioxide. And finally, the atmospheric pressure. Rate of transpiration increases with the decrease in atmospheric pressure. Thus, it enhances diffusion of water vapor. So, agar decrease in the atmospheric pressure is there, there will be increase in the transpiration. So, transpiration increases with the decrease in the pressure. So pressure outside decreases तो ट्रांसपिरेशन बढ़ेगा क्योंकि बाहर डिक्रीज प्रेशर है तो अंदर से प्रेशर बाहर आएगा. अगर बाहर प्रेशर ज़्यादा है तो अंदर का प्रेशर अंदर ही रहेगा क्योंकि वो इट इज पुशिंग द वाटर वेपर इनसाइड. So that's why it will be inversely proportional to the atmospheric pressure. There are also some internal factors over here, and that is the water content of the leaves. So how much water is contained in the leaves is also an important factor on which the transpiration will depend on. If the water content in the leaf decreases due to insufficient absorption of water by the roots, the leaves will wilt and the transpiration is reduced. We understood this thing, that this opening is going to close if the water is not present in the leaves. If the water is not present, the stomatal opening is going to close. So that's why the in the inner, that is, see, above are the external factors. The internal factor for transpiration will be the plant should have enough water. So more the water it has got in inside, the more will be the transpiration. So if the water content of the leaves decrease due to insufficient absorption of the water by the roots, the leaves wilt and the transpiration reduce. Such reduction in transpiration is indirectly due to the closure of the stomata, and it is natural mechanism of conserving water in the plant. So this is how the plant maintain the water level in the plant, by closing the stomata and hence stopping the stomatal transpiration. We continue further. I think one more video to complete the chapter. So that will be the next video to complete the chapter.